Travis Wayne Goodsell. So it looks like in this final week I don't get to shower and shave. We just have video after video after video after video after video after video. So I guess I'll just be passing out during one of these videos without getting any sleep, and wake up to find that it's been running for, well, it stops at 3 hours for some reason. So the white horse prophecy. It's kind of a myth in the church because the church doesn't want Mormons to know about it. Here's the church's official statement on it. From 6th of January 2010, posted by Lyman Kirkland. Church statement on white horse prophecy and political neutrality. 2 weeks ago, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. 2 weeks ago? And you're now reporting it in the news. Issued a statement regarding the so-called white horse prophecy. Armageddon. He'd like to stay in the white horse. In response to news inquiries regarding comments made by an Idaho politician, the matter has received additional coverage in the news media of late, and so we reiterate that statement here, as apparently nobody heard the statement in the first place. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is politically neutral. And does not endorse or promote any candidate, party, or platform. Although we hope that the campaign practices of political candidates would not suggest that their candidacy is supported by or connected to the church. The so-called, yeah, that's why Lyman used so-called, the so-called white horse prophecy is based on accounts that have not been substantiated by historical research. You mean your church historical research? And is not embraced as church doctrine. Well, since that time, the church has come out with the Joseph Smith papers, and oops, there it is. So, what is this white horse prophecy? Now, I've covered it. It's from Revelation 19. Nonetheless, the actual text is found by a Mormon apologist who spends the first 2 pages talking about church doctrine on why we should dismiss this as fake. Dear God, can't you do a decent article for once in your life? Okay. So he's still doing his commentary through this. He just can't put the text, boom. And so Edwin Rushton claims, don't put claims, just put his quote, that in 1843, which the video is going up on Travis Wayne Goodsell now. It's already on TWG, assuming that the processing is done for another dream of Joseph's in March 10th, 1843. The other document in the Joseph Smith papers that I've done is 19 July 1840. We'll get to that. He was with the prophet Joseph Smith and Theodore Turley when the prophet gave what became known as the White Horse Prophecy. When Rushton was of advanced age, and in the interest of preserving history, he wrote down his recollections of the 1843 prophecy. There is no real evidence that Theodore was real. Theodore Turley was part of this recollection, as he died in 1872, apparently well before the story was recorded. Several copies from different individuals who recorded Rushton's report of the White Horse Prophecy for their own use are held in the church historian's office. And why are we not quoting it? I was sure this was going to be quoted. So, why is the church keeping this a sacred secret? They reportedly vary slightly in a few words, but are remarkably consistent in content. So give it to us. Okay, following, let's see. There's some guy named Roberts. Diary of John, the most often used source is the Diary of John Roberts, not Edwin Rushton, of Paradise, Utah. A version of his own is as follows, finally. So, 6th May, 1843. I think we're still good. Yeah, just barely. Because June, 6th of June, a month later, that was the Davies County, Missouri indictment. Okay. Need to get this on the screen so it doesn't go blurry on me, and thus on you. On about the 6th of May, 1843, a grand review of the Nauvoo Legion was held in Nauvoo. The prophet Joseph Smith complimented them for their good discipline and evolutions performed. The weather being hot, he called for a glass of water. With the glass of water in hand, he said, "I will drink to your toast to the overthrow of the mobocrats," which he did in the following language. "Here's wishing they were in the middle of the sea, in a stone canoe with iron paddles, and that a shark swallowed the canoe, and the devil swallowed the shark, and himself locked up in the northwest corner of hell. See, Mormons? Joseph used hell, why can't you?" The key lost, and a blind man hunting it. "I'm not dead yet." The next morning, a man who heard the prophet give the toast, returning to visit the mansion of the prophet, and so abused him with bad language that he was ordered out by the prophet. It was while the two were out that my attention was attracted to them, and hearing the man speaking in a loud tone of voice, I went towards them. The man finally leaving, there were then present the prophet, Theodore Turley, and myself, Edwin Rushton. Thought this was the prophet began talking to us of the moblings. Are those baby mobsters? And deriding and persecutions we as a people had endured. But we will have worse things to see. Our persecutors will have all the mobbings they want. Don't wish them any harm, for when you see their sufferings, you will shed bitter tears for them. While this conversation was going on, we stood by his south wicket gate in a triangle. Turning to me, he said, I want to tell you something of the future. I will speak in a parable like unto John the Revelator. Revelation 19. You will go to the Rocky Mountains. Yeah. Yeah, the diary entry is at least 1890 and likely 1900 that this was recorded. Red flags all over the place here, because I just went over it in that video that's being uploaded right now. And I need to do a brief explanation of the longer video, because the longer video I'm going over it with you for the first time. So now that I've done the research, I can now do a summary of it, which nobody will watch, as the deadline's coming up this Friday. And so this likewise has to do with it. So if you're going to ignore me, to hell with you. And what was all that about? Here's wishing you were in the middle of a sea in a stone canoe with iron paddles, and a shark swallowed the canoe, and the devil swallowed the shark, and himself locked up in the northeast-west corner of hell, and the key lost and a blind man hunting it. Dear God. Why not just say to infinity? To hell and infinity. To the infinity power. Why make it so complicated? You will go to the Rocky Mountains. And you will be a great and mighty people established there, which I will call the white horse of peace and safety. Oh, you screwed that one up, didn't you? Too many decades gone by. When the prophet said, you will see it, I said, where will you be at that time? He said, I shall never go there. Really? Really? You're prophesying your assassination in this one. Rather than becoming a general in this other one. Your enemies will continue to follow you with persecutions, and they will make obnoxious laws against you. Women must have freedom. Blacks must have freedom. So obnoxious for Mormons, isn't it? In Congress to destroy the white horse. So Mormons are the white horse. What the? What? But you will have a friend or two to defend you and throw out the worst parts of the law. What? Holy crap! So they will not hurt you so much. Yes, you will have infiltrators in Congress who will overthrow the Constitution to protect Mormons from their criminal activities. Yep, red flags all over the place. A red flag here, a red flag there, here a red flag, there a flag. God. But they will treat you like strangers and aliens from outer space with lizard skin, worshipping Satan of the inverted pentagram on the keystone of the Salt Lake Temple. And they will not give you your rights to commit crime. Polygamy, and a tithing protection racket. Murder. But will govern you with strangers and commissioners. If you don't know the actual church history that I've been going over, you are completely lost. You do not understand how hilarious this is. So yes, I agree with the church. This is nonsense. This guy was divulging sacred secrets. That the church doesn't want known. And not because it's not true. Because here we get to the Constitution in the United States. You guys remember President Ezra Taft Benson, don't you? And his little BYU fiasco where he sort of took that part out in conference? I have faith that the Constitution as prophesied by Joseph Smith will be saved, but it will not be saved in Washington. How did I do? Hopefully I'll remember to put it in. We'll see. I think. Okay, it's processing with 8 minutes. Dear God. I mean, it was an hour-long video, so I guess that's okay. Let's publish it. Not have to worry about it. We'll just close out of YouTube here. I guess nobody's interested in the dead Mormons, ex-Mormons, Mormon lawbreakers, buried with Brigham Young. Alright, so let's see, we gotta delete out of this. Oleodendroglia, 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 oleodendroglia. A word that will remain in my vocabulary forever. And I think that's one of the bones in the inner ear, isn't it? There's Utafagva, oleodendroglia. Still remember from high school. It wasn't anatomy, it was human biology. I chose that one over human anatomy, I do recall, I think. Unless it was human anatomy. And it was chemistry that I took in place of the biology. I can't remember. Alright, where were we? Constitution, where are you? You will see the Constitution of the United States almost destroyed. It will hang like a thread as fine as a silk fiber. At that time, the prophet's countenance became sad. Snowflake. Because as he said, I love the Constitution. Why don't Mormons love the Constitution? It was made by the inspiration of God, and it will be preserved and saved by the efforts of the white horse and by the red horse, who will combine in its defenses. Red horse? Where'd the red horse come from? Who's the red horse? I sort of missed that. The white horse will find the mountains full of minerals. Now, and then cause the earthquake out in Magna through their drilling operations. And they will become rich. Huh. The church will become rich, you say. Sort of like the great and abominable church will become rich. See, this is how you can tell it's not Joseph. This is this nutcase who's in Utah with Brigham Young. He's been indoctrinated by Brigham Young. He's got the plans of Brigham Young. So yeah, this is revealing. I don't know if you guys see it like I do, but this is precious gold to expose the church. At this time, it must be remembered, the precious metals were not known to exist in either the Rocky Mountains or California. It was a prophecy by Joseph. He knew. You will see silver piled up in the streets. Really? When did that happen? You will see gold shoveled up like sand. Oh my God. And people wonder why Joseph Smith is a false prophet when people believe this crap. And it came from him. Gold will be of little value then, even in the mercantile capacity, for the people of the world will have something else to do in seeking for salvation. Digital currency, Bitcoin. The time will come when the banks of every nation will fall. Well, we avoided that for this year, didn't we? But Trump promises revenge on those deep state supporters in the GOP. I don't know why we still call them the GOP. They're obviously MAGA. Oh no, we have to live in denial because we don't want people to know our plot and plan. That it's right out in the open. And only 2 places will be safe where people can deposit their gold and treasure. This place will be the White Horse and England's vaults? What the bleepity bleep 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 are you talking about? A terrible revolution will take place in the land of America. Women will demand freedom. Blacks will demand freedom, such as has never been seen before, for the land will be left without a supreme government. Uh-oh. Here's the secret plot the church doesn't want revealed. And every spectacle, or species, of wickedness will be practiced rampantly in the land. Yeah, if the government's overthrown, it's a survival of the fittest at that point. And so every kind of murder, rape, theft will be commenced. Father will be against son, son against father, mother against daughter, daughter against mother. Not mother against son and son against mother, or father against daughter and daughter against mother, or son against mother-in-law and father-in-law. You could have gone on and on with that one. And then you throw in polygamy wives. Son against first polygamous wife, against second polygamous wife, against third polygamous wife, against fourth polygamous wife. The most terrible scenes of bloodshed, murder, and rape, oh, how did I know? That have been imagined or looked upon will take place. See, this is the plot of the enemy. This is not Joseph Smith. This is what Joseph Smith warns about. And so he's using Joseph Smith to claim that Joseph is the origin, which he was but isn't, because the white horse, dear God. Revelation 19. We'll get to it. So I've already gone over it. You should all know it by now. It's a date, star date. But, yeah, people will be taken from the earth into outer space. And there will be peace and love only in the Rocky Mountains. Yeah, this is BS. BS, because Heber C. Kimball revealed the sacred secrets that he himself was a part of designing, and said that, no, the Rocky Mountains will be a very wicked place in the latter days. You can't tell the face of a saint from a sinner, because saints will be sinners. This will cause many hundreds of thousands of the honest in heart of the world to gather there. Yes, that's it. Not because they would be saints. Not because the church has conquered the world, as is their plot, but for safety, and because they will be so numerous that you will be in danger of famine, but not for the want of seed, time, and harvest, but because of so many to be fed. Yeah, they're getting that from section 45. So, you see what he's doing here? He's taking a whole Mesher splits and trying to present a cover story blaming Joseph for it, when actually this is the plot that the church has to conquer. Many will come with bundles under their arms to escape the calamities, for there will be no escape, except only by escaping and fleeing to Zion. See what he's done? Zion is no longer Missouri, and when we get to 19 July 1840, it's not Missouri, it's Southern Illinois. And here he's saying, as Joseph Smith was saying, the Rocky Mountains. An immediate BS red flag. And this whole Zion thing, that was Brigham's idea. That was his plot. And you saw Nelson, you read Nelson, saying, we must finish the temple in Salt Lake City, because that is the gathering place of Zion for the latter days. I told you this. You don't believe me. And now I'm about to die, unless I am saved with this Friday. But we have to wait to find out what's going to happen. Those who come, not that come, to you will try to keep the laws and be one with you. Really? The supreme government's destroyed. Now Utah is a government entity unto itself, and people are going to abide by Utah's laws during this chaos. Right. Oh my God, how right have I been this whole time? For they will see your unity. We are Borg. Resistance is futile. And the greatness of your organization. The Turkish Empire of the Crescent will be the first power to be disputed. For freedom must be given for the gospel to be preached in the Holy Land. I've gone over the Crescent with you. 8 April 2024, the real white horse of Revelation 19, which came on 8 April 4 CE over Russia. That's why it's a crescent in the Middle East. They don't know it. They think it's the moon. It's a partial solar eclipse where the whole crescent thing comes from. For Muslim, Christian, Jew, and one other, I lost it. But anyway, will be the first power to be disputed. For freedom must be done in the Holy Land. Again, he's being distracting concerning Jerusalem and the destruction there. And no. Because this is the latter days, and we only have till 2024 in April, and there's supposed to be a 3.5-year war in Jerusalem. We're a little late for that, because we're down to 2 years now. Oops! So, but here in America, we're right on target. Alright, the Lord took of the best blood of the nations and planted them on the small islands now called England and Great Britain. And gave them power in the nations for 1,000 years. Their power will continue with them, that they may keep the balance of power. There's this whole EU fiasco. And they will keep Russia from sweeping her power over the world. Yeah, Russia's about to overrun Ukraine. 90,000 troops. I don't know how many men are in a troop, but dear God, England and France are now bitter enemies, but they will be allied together and be united to keep Russia from conquering the world. See, this is pre-Nazi Germany. Do you see what's going on here? Do you see why the church supported Nazi Germany? And then afterward, during the McCarthy era of the Red Scare, went against Russia. Yep. It's all clear. Everything is clear. You guys probably don't know that movie. It's the original 1960 version of The Time Machine. It's all clear. Okay. The two popes, Greek and Catholic, will eventually come together in their decline and be united and say that sexual sins are not really that serious. Or sexy sins. He came out last week. Oh, hilarious. The Protestant Protestant, do not know how much they are indebted to Henry VIII for throwing off the Pope's bill and establishing the Protestant faith. He was the only monarch who could do so at that time, and he did it because the nation was at his back to sustain him. Wasn't he the one who got excommunicated by the church and then formed his own so that he can divorce the one woman and marry the other, the mistress? One of the peculiar features in England is the re-established red coat. What, is this still the same? What are you talking about here? He's just rambling now. A uniform making so remarkable a target to shoot at, and yet they have conquered wherever they have gone. Well, that's because they sort of set the parameters for war, if you've not seen Mel Gibson's The Patriot. You have to go after the leaders first, and then the subordinates don't know what to do because they don't have a leader to lead them. But the British purposely made it so that you don't shoot the leaders. That's a violation of warfare, because they are skilled on the field of battle combat. And so any other tactic is cheating for them. And yet they have conquered wherever they've gone. A reason for this being noticed on day, as red is seen in a different color threading through under history. What are you talking about? The lion and the unicorn of England? Are you drunk on Brigham Young's beer? What the hell? Of course, at the time this was written, the brewery was shut down. And the church was also shut down. So that's why I don't think that they're correct that it was 1890 to 1900. Because he's still talking as if the Edmunds-Tucker Act had not happened yet. So take that, Mormon apologists. So yeah, this does seem to be more in line with someone who is already in Utah, a supporter of Brigham Young, but has not seen the pressure from the United States as yet. While the terrible things of which I have mentioned are going on, England will be neutral until it becomes so inhuman that she will interfere to stop the shedding of blood. And history will be more, they were the cause of the shedding of blood around the world. And history will be more properly understood. England and France will unite together to make peace, not to subdue the nations. She will find this nation so broken up, and so many claiming government. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene was the latest to again recommend that the United States secede, the conservative states anyway, secede from the nation. And that would create a power vacuum as to who's the one in charge of the government, as every state would go on their own anyway, till there will be no reasonable government. Then it will appear to the other nations or powers as though England had taken possession of the country. Not Russia? The Black Horse. What is the Black Horse? We haven't even figured out who the Red Horse is yet. All we know is that the White Horse are the Mormons of Utah, led by the president of the church at the time. The black horse will flee to the invaders. Who are the invaders? England's helping. And will join them, for they have fear of becoming slaves again, knowing that England did not believe in slavery. I don't see England stepping in, even though they want Boris out because of a latest stunt was revealed. They will flee to them that they believe will make them safe. You mean Russia? Armed with British bayonets, the doings of the Black Horse will be terrible. Here the prophet said that he could not bear to look longer upon the scenes as shown to him in vision, and he asked the Lord to close the scenes. Yeah. Have you read the Book of Mormon lately? Black red horses? Yeah, there's far worse in the Book of Mormon. Continuing, he said, during this time of the great white horse, now it's a great white horse, the great white hope, will have gathered strength, sending out elders to gather the honest in heart. I thought the elders were supposed to be coming home, as Heber C. Kimball said in his prophecy, which Nelson fulfilled, and then less than a month later overturned it and said, nope. Not time yet, not the latter days. So much unnecessary death. Alright. To stand by the Constitution. Let's see. What? Now we got a pale horse. Are you referring to Revelation? I don't... You are, aren't you? Dear God. Okay, so so the white horse are the Mormons, not Kim Jong-un. I doubt anybody remembers that story. It was December 2019. You were being distracted with the whistleblower report from Ensign Peak Advisors. The church is committing tax fraud and other financial fraud, so that you missed. So now we know what's going on here. So he is referring to Revelation, but the part about the four horsemen of the apocalypse, which is not how Joseph Smith interpreted them, which again is another tell of what they're doing here. Okay. Alright, during the time of the great white horse, will have gathered strength, sending out the elders to gather in the honest in heart from among the pale horse, or people of the United States. Okay, so the red horse must be England, white horse is Mormons of Utah, pale horse is the United States. So who's the black horse? Black horse must be Americans. She will find this nation so broken up that so many claiming. Maybe it's France. Then it will appear to the other nations or powers as though England had taken possession of the country. The black horse will flee to the invaders, So it's not England. They got to be the red horse. So it must be Americans. Because they're afraid that England will continue slavery again, so they go to this black horse. So it's not American. Well, it's not Americans. No, it isn't Americans. So they're afraid of becoming slaves again. And so knowing that England did not believe in slavery, which is a lie. Okay. So, yeah, he really messed up the revelation from John. Okay. But as I'm thinking, white horse, Mormons. Red horse, England. Black horse, the suffering Americans fleeing to the red horse for safety. And then the pale horse are the oppressive Americans. It's the best I can figure. People of the United States, to stand by the Constitution of the United States as it was given by inspiration of God. Is that why Brigham Young fled the country and formed his own Deseret Constitution with slavery, polygamy, murder, child labor, child brides? In those days which are yet to come, God will set up a kingdom never to be thrown down. Oops! And then came the Edmunds-Tucker Act. In these days which are yet to come, but other kingdoms to come into it. And those kingdoms that will not let the gospel be preached in their lands will be humbled until they will. Their choice, free agency. God's plan of happiness. Oh dear God. England, the Germany, Norway, Denmark, Switzerland. Isn't there supposed to be a comma after England? And why is it the Germany? So then why not put Die Germany? Allemagne. Or is that America? I can't remember. Holland and Belgium have a considerable amount of the blood of Israel among the people which must be gathered out. Okay. That's a reinterpretation. New Israelites were started with Joseph Smith. Those nations will submit to the nations of God. The nations of God? I thought you were just Utah. Notice he doesn't say Utah. That's also a tell of when it was written. England will be the last of the nations to surrender. Holy crap. Oh dear God, it opens right to it. Speaking of Adam-on-Diamond, at that day there will be a transfer of authority from the Jacob, the usurper and impostor Lucifer, to the rightful king Jesus Christ. That's what that's referring to. We may have found a previous origin than this. told you it was their plot. See, this guy is revealing secrets, and the church doesn't want this out. That's why they denounced it. I love it when I'm right. Because I can't say I can't. I hate it when I'm right. Because I don't. Let's see. But when she does, she will do it as a whole in comparison as she threw off the Catholic power. The nobility knows that the gospel is true, but it has not pomp enough and grandeur and influence for them to yet embrace it. They are proud and will not acknowledge the kingdom of God. Exalting yourself, are you? Or come into it until they see the power it will have. Peace and safety in the Rocky Mountains will be protected by the guardians? Holy crap, why are they calling themselves Desnat? They should be calling themselves the Guardians. The white and red horses. The coming of the Messiah among his people will be so natural that only those who see him will know that he has come. Wow, that's so smart. So if you don't see him, you won't know he's come. Oh my God! But he will come and give his laws unto Zion and minister unto his people. And so he's not coming from outer space on a white horse? He's going to come naturally like a child born of mortal parents in the great and abominable church? But yeah, to give his laws to Utah Zion, Salt Lake City, the Mormon Church, here in Utah, Temple Square. That's what they're talking about. That's what he's talking about. This will not be his coming in the clouds of Pegasus to take vengeance on the wicked of the world. Is it Adam-on-Diamond? The temple, the temple in Jackson County, Missouri will be built in that generation. Oops. Nope, they have no intention of going back. The saints will think that there will not be time to build it. Tell me about it. We got 2 years left, Mormons. And you don't even believe in the right Jesus. You think it's Jesus. God. But with all the help you can receive, you can put up a great temple quickly. Well, China can do it in a day. A big, tall skyscraper. Or a hospital. Dear God. The quality, though, is concerning. Let's see. You will have all the gold, silver, and precious stones you need. Yes, because the church is stockpiling it. Not just in Ensign Peak Advisors. For these things will only be for the beautifying of the temple. What about the Salt Lake City temple? Also, all the skilled mechanics you want and the 10 tribes will help build it. When you see this land bound with iron, you may look forward to Jackson County. So now he's turning. He's saying Zion is Utah and Jesus is coming there, but that's not the end of the world with wickedness. But that time is when Mormons will build the temple in Jackson County. So it's not the Salt Lake Temple. He's making his own new doctrine there, isn't he? And the saints will be concerned because they need to build it. And they'll build it quickly. And they'll have gold, silver, and precious stones to build it, to beautify it. Skilled mechanics. And the 10 tribes of Russia will come and help build it. But when you see this land bound with iron, you may look forward to Jackson County. So, is it the whole United States, not the white horse of Utah? Or does it include Utah? Let's see. At this point, he made a pause, and looking up as though the vision were still in view, he said, "There is a land beyond the Rocky Mountains that will be invaded by the heathen Chinese. Unless great care and protection be given." So is that who's attacking on Friday? Not Russia? Is Biden gonna say something to piss him off? Like maybe little honey man? Little honey bear? Rather than little rocket man? Will that upset him? But Shanghai! I guess the church will be protected. Speaking of the heathen nations, he said. See, again, he's thinking in terms of communist. Russia was communist. China was communist. As he's clearly supporting Nazism. Where there is no law, there is no condemnation. This will apply to them. Oh, they can't be condemned because they don't have a law. Power will be given to the white horse. To rebuke the nations afar off. Since when has any prophet of the church ever condemned any nation for any level of wickedness? Since Joseph Smith. And you obey it, for the laws go forth from Zion. That last great struggle, Mein Kampf, that Zion will ever have to contend with will be when the whole of America will be made the Zion of God. There's the overthrow of America, right there. Oh dear God. Those opposing will be name called Gog and Magog. We Mormons now own and operate the United States of America. Oh, you oppose, do you? Well, you're Gog and Magog. The nations of the earth will be led by the Russian Tsar. That's Putin. Interesting. And his power will be great, but all opposition will be overcome, and this land will be the Zion of our God. So, wait a minute. if I'm understanding this correctly, the Mormons will conquer America as Russia conquers the world. Is that the deal Nelson made with Putin? Holy crap! I was thinking a little smaller. That Putin was going to give Nelson Utah back. My goodness. Nelson, you've been keeping secrets from us. Holy crap. That's it. That is the White Horse Prophecy. And then this Mormon thinks he's going to summarize it for us. God, I want nothing with your summaries. And so it's still unclear about this temple in Jackson versus the temple in Utah. Because they're spending a lot of money to adorn the other one. Okay, so yeah, Sandra Tanner did a collection of documents because she doesn't do articles. It's not like the Mormon Apologist. See, the Tanners, they just collect documents and then post them out for people. This is another perfect example. It's Joseph Smith's White Horse Prophecy by Sandra Tanner. And she starts off with Orrin Hatch was thinking about running for presidency in 1999, but the whole White Horse Prophecy sort of caused him to back off. So he became a Trump loyalist who was rewarded by Trump for the 2017 tax bill that the church benefited, with LLC corporations receiving $32 billion from secret funds of Russia. So that Nelson would then come out in April of 2018 in his solemn assembly and say, a major city yet to be determined in Russia. Oh, you're working with Russia, are you? And you're aware that Putin is a mob boss, having worked with the KGB, and so he's a murderer, knows how to kill people secretly. And so yeah, she just shows how there are resistance in Mormonism to deny that such a thing exists. And I just read it to you. The Fair Mormon. So, yes, leave it to Mormon apologists to destroy the church's official statement. And so, yeah, she's just going over how Deep Throat, Mark Felt, is Mormon. He knows all about it. And so, he's an Idaho boy. And so, yeah, Deep Throat. He got it from the movie. And they bring up Bob Woodward of that newspaper fame. So there's then Glenn Beck and Bill O'Reilly. They both know about it. And then Susan Black, a BYU professor of church history and doctrine, who replaced the September 6th, was in denial. It's false. It's not true. I support the church leaders. And yet, there it is. The guy says it's in the church archives. And yet, church historians are saying, nope, not real, doesn't exist. So, yeah, and then Sandra only refers to all the quotes that refer to 19 July 1840. So let's read that one for you. Yeah, we don't need any of this stuff. And I already copied and pasted them or downloaded them. Alright. So this is Martha Jane Knowlton Corey. So there's one reason why it's never been canonized. But there's another reason, and it's hilarious. And so understanding that it has not been approved by Joseph for publication is kind of crucial, because what we have in the Doctrine and Covenants, even though Sandra Tanner has shown that the original Doctrine and Covenants is a lot different than what we have currently. But the original Doctrine and Covenants is more publishable, as this is just a rough draft note-taking thing. And so that needs to be understood in the context of what it talks about, which is referring to other canonized Doctrine and Covenants passages. And so here we go. It is wisdom in God that the saints, as fast as convenient, should come up, and we should enter into as compact a city as possible. We are not greatly distressed, nor ever will be, a stake appointed. This is a principal place. This is the principal place of gathering. Therefore, as many as can come, let the brethren begin to roll in like clouds. We will sell you lots, and if you can't pay for them, you shall have them. Whosoever will come, let them come and partake of the poverty of Nauvoo freely. Really? That's not what Brigham Young did. And those who will partake, or who partake of our poverty, shall be greatly blessed, yea, exceedingly, for if they come in times of prosperity, will put on their long-faced pharisaical visages and blow us up, and this proclamation go forth from this hour, bring everything you can, bring and build the house of God, temple. The date, 19 July 1840. So Kirtland's already been built. And so it's talking about Nauvoo, Illinois, as the place for gathering, the central place for gathering. Notice it's not Missouri. Let's see. And we will have a tremendous city which shall reverberate afar, and we will have a great observatory, great high watchtower. Then comes all the ancient records, dig them up, in Nauvoo, Illinois, ancient records to be dug up in Illinois. It's amazing how right I am, and nobody wants to believe me. Shall the poor be fed by the curious, who were the saints gather is Zion, which any righteousness will build up a place of safety for the children, and those who do not come in due season shall scarce escape with their lives. Section 45. Those that cease to be saviors of men, they shall be trodden under the feet of their enemies. For their transgression, instance, read Peck. See the descendant of Walter Peck? Yes, it's true. This man has no... Gonna get you a nice fruit basket. The redemption of Zion is the salvation of this country, which is North and South America. Some consider the olive trees to be Jackson County, but one is not 12. Some have a temple begun. 12 olive trees are 12 stakes. The seed of the 12 olive trees are scattered. It will wake up the nations. That's the parable in 101, starting in verse 43. Mormon rap. Do the Mormon rap. But the manual says we're the servants. The nations will war with each other while the saints are building I had a vision on the other side of the river that my armies were about me, and I ran from brethren who were shooting at me, swam the river and found safety on this side. Go tell all my servants who are the strength of my house, and etc. This time, this nation will be trembling. Then shall foreign saints come, and all the saints shall come and fight for God. They shall come to the land of my vineyard. Then will kings and queens, rulers come and help build up Zion. Completely different from that other nutcase. Let's see. Build up reasoning can't help themselves. Therefore, go up with your might, build Zion, and you shall inherit it long and be blessed. This is a different one. This is A, not B. Or is it B? Not A. Yeah, this is A. This isn't B. Because I'll find the other one for you. Therefore, go with your mights, build, and you shall inherit it long and be blessed. And the rising generation shall awake, and the nations shall make kingdoms tremble, and the earth shake to the center, and God will bless the great rulers and cast a vote against Van Buren. Didn't he win? Jerusalem must be built up, Zion also before the coming of Christ. That's New Jerusalem, and it's not in Jerusalem. This will take near 60 years. All who can coolly and deliberately dispose, so that's important to understand in the previous dream thing that is now posted and available for you guys. Deliberately dispose of their property and come and give their property to the poor and worship God. O brethren, come. I prophesy this state, Illinois, shall become great and a mighty mountain. And this will be the greatest city in the world. Curse the man who says you are a mean man because you do not believe as I do. All liberal men, come up to Nauvoo, not conservatives, and help us to build the city of God. Go the opposition from without does not compare with that within. Moses led the children of Israel. The calamities which happened to them was in consequence of rebelling against Moses. Rebellion here also. When I disbelieve in Joseph, I will ask God for another is God, a monarch. If you disbelieve an honorable way is to say, I would rather be damned than to follow self-exaltation, first cause of sin. Prayer, first, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. What would we do singing forever and ever? Answer, starve to death. The kingdom of God is like purified elements, like 1000 ds and 1000 ds of worlds have been to effect the purifying is to pray for the kingdom come and forgive, as the forgiven God has no hand in purifying men in prison for the debt, but devils incarnate. Were the flame to roll as fast as we want it to, would crush half the church before it touched the world. Righteous people instance, a man that has a kingdom and its righteousness knows how to manage property. What the bishops do is by discretion of the presidency. Sectarians worship the 12 apostles. Did you catch that? Did you catch that? Slam on Christianity. I don't think that a man who says he will, illegible, shall come from all parts of the world, and I prophesy that pleasure parties, orgies, come from England to see her mammoth and like Sheba, and schoolhouses and great men's sons shall board here and crave the privileges of educating their children here, and then I prophesy shall the saints chink the money in their pockets, which they shall give, and obligate myself to build as great a house as ever Solomon did, so the temple, if the church will back me up, and it shall impoverish no one, but enrich thousands. The time comes when these saints shall ride proudly over the mountains of Missouri, and no Gentile dog shall dare lift a tongue, but shall lick up the dust of their feet. In the name of Jesus, may many here realize this and see it with their eyes. I pray my prayer. Amen. Okay, let's get the other one, the B. There we go. Martha Jane Knowlton Corey B. This is a little longer. We're already at 1 hour, 20 minutes. We still have to get to Revelation 19. A few items from a discourse delivered by Joseph Smith, July 19th, 1840. Read a chapter in Ezekiel, ed. concluding with this saying, and when all these things come to pass. What chapter in Ezekiel? They will come, then shall you know that a prophet has been among you. She doesn't say which chapter in Ezekiel, but it's about the latter days and about a latter-day prophet. Is it the parable that Ezekiel gives in 17? Shall I tease you with that? As I've already gone over it for you. It's the parable that tells us exactly where he will be born, where he will move to, and where his nativity is. It's different from his birthplace. Old Testament, Ezekiel 17. Yeah. Verse 2. Son of man. Notice it's son of man, referring to Ezekiel. Who is coming in the latter days? Son of man. Huh. Mortal man, mortal parents. Huh. Put forth a riddle, and speak a parable unto the house of Israel, and say, Thus saith the Lord God, a great eagle with great wings, long-winged, full of feathers, which had diverse colors, came unto Lebanon. Why Beirut, Lebanon? And took the highest branch of the cedar. The branch? He cropped off the top of his young twig, and carried it into a land of traffic. He set it in a city of merchants. And so this is a cedar of Lebanon that is being replanted in another land. I've already gone over this. It's Oakland by San Francisco, because of the redwoods. Those are the closest match to the cedars of Lebanon. Though they are a different kind of tree, as the oak tree is different from the red tree as well, but the cedars of Lebanon are also different, but that's the closest match in the world. Alright. Afterwards, read the parable of the 12 olive trees. You mean the Mormons? And said, speaking of the Lord of Zion, it consists of all North and South America, but that any place where the saints gather is Zion, which every righteous man will build up for a place of safety for his children. The olive trees are the 12 stakes, which are yet to be built, not the temple in Jackson, as some suppose. For while the 12 stakes are being built, we will be at peace, but the nations of the earth will be at war. Our cry from the first has been for peace, and we will continue pleading like the widow at the feet of the unjust judge. But we may plead at the feet of the magistrates, and at the feet of the judges, and at the feet of the governors, and at the feet of the senators, and at the feet of the presidents. For 8 years it will be of no avail. We shall find no favor in any of the courts of the Utah government. This government. The redemption of Zion is the redemption of all North and South America, and those 12 stakes must be built up before the redemption of Zion can take place. How many of you have been paying attention, or at least know your scriptures? Section 103, 15, and 16. And those who refuse to gather and build when they are commanded to do so cease to be saviors of men. Where are we supposed to build? Thenceforth good for nothing, and shall be cast out and trodden under the foot of men. For their transgression, as Reed Peck was when he applied in the name of an apostate for business in a store in Quincy. Is that Ohio? They told him that they wanted no apostates round them and showed him the door. At this same store, the authorities of the church could have obtained almost any amount of credit they could have asked. We shall build the Zion of the Lord in peace, until the servants of that Lord shall begin to lay the foundation of a great and high watchtower. Then shall they begin to say within themselves, what have my Lord of this tower, seeing this is a time of peace, and etc. This is section 101. Then the enemy shall come, verse 51 in section 101, as a thief in the night, and scatter the servants abroad. Not the olive trees. Oh yeah, them too, he says. When the seed of these 12 olive trees are scattered abroad, they will wake up the nations of the earth. Even this nation will be on the verge of crumbling to pieces and tumbling to the ground. And when the Constitution is on the brink of ruin, this people will go to the Capitol on January 6 to overthrow the duly elected president. So this is how you know Mormons are not true Mormons. See the other guy? Yeah. You can tell he had no interest in Joseph Smith's prophecies. He was claiming Joseph Smith, but talking about the enemy. This is Joseph Smith. This people, not a single elder, this people will be the staff upon which the nations shall lean, and they shall bear the Constitution away from the very verge of destruction. Oops! Then shall the Lord God go and tell all my servants who are the strength of mine house, my young men, my middle-aged, etc. Come to the Lord of my vineyard and fight the battle of the Lord. Then the kings and queens shall come, then the rulers of the earth shall come, then shall all saints come, yea, the foreign saints shall come to fight for the Lord of my vineyard. For in this thing shall be their safety, and they will have no power to choose, but will come as a man fleeth from a sudden destruction. But before this time shall be, those who are now my friends, here it is, shall become my enemies, and shall seek to take away my life. And there are those now before me, who will more furiously pursue me, more diligently seek to take my life, and be more bloodthirsty upon my track than ever were the Missouri mobbers. You say among yourselves, here it is, as did them of old time, is it I? And is it I? Not just one person. But I know these things by the visions of the Almighty. Yeah, 117, you knew the Danites. You were well aware. The Nicolaitian band. Nelson called them the Babylonian band. But brethren, come ye, yea, come all of you who can come, and go with your mights, and build up the cities of the Lord, and whosoever will let him come and partake of the poverty of Nauvoo freely, for those who partake of her poverty shall also partake of her prosperity. And it is now wisdom in God that we should enter into as compact a city as possible. For Zion and Jerusalem must both be built up before the coming of Christ. Not Jesus, a mortal man, mortal parents, out of the great and abominable church to restore Joseph's organization. And it's Nauvoo where these two cities of Zion and New Jerusalem must be built. And so Nauvoo is in the north, Chicago's in the north, it's in the south. Why in the south? Why two cities? And he goes on to talk about mountains. Yeah, great and mighty mountain as a city set on a hill. Two triangles joined together as one. Separated, they're two triangles. Mountains. Mountain cities of Zion and New Jerusalem in southern Illinois. Do I need to go over the native Indians who used to live there? But then after the Knights Templar bought the land and deposited their Egyptian gold plates in the caves in southern Illinois, they just disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to them. But they were the city of the sun. They were the people of the sun. They had the sun as their god. Right there in southern Illinois. Egyptian gold plates. You know, like the Book of Mormon. Egyptian gold plates. Knights Templar. Yorkites that the Smiths Sr. and Hiram were a part of. Southern Illinois, where the natives were practicing human sacrifice, which symbolizes death of the sun, which is a solar eclipse in southern Illinois. I wonder if there's going to be solar eclipses that would cross in that area at some time in the future. You know, like maybe something on Monson's birthday, 21st of August 2017, passing over Independence and Adirondack, and then another one maybe, let's say, 8 April 2024, that would cross over the Kirtland Temple and the Manchester Farm to pass over in southern Illinois for the 3 days of darkness, the first and the last days of the latter days. How long will it take to do this? 10 years? Yes, more than 40 will pass before the work will be accomplished. And when these cities are built, then shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Oops. He came, but it looks like the earth will be entirely wasted at his coming instead. Now let all who can coolly and deliberately dispose of their property come up and give of their substance to the poor, that the hearts of the poor may be comforted and all may worship God together in holiness of heart. You mean we're not supposed to tell them to lift themselves up by their own bootstraps, that they need to be self-reliant, not be dependent upon the church welfare system and the bishop's storehouses? Come, brethren, all of you, and I prophesy in the name of the Lord that the state of Illinois shall become a great and mighty mountain, as a city set upon a hill that cannot be hid, and the great candle that giveth light to the world. The city of Nauvoo also shall become the greatest city in all the world. Curse that man who says to his neighbor, "You are a mean man because you do not believe as I do." Mormons. I now invite all liberal-minded men to come to Nauvoo and help to build the city of our God. We are not greatly distressed, no, nor ever will be. This is the principal place of gathering. Not according to Nelson. Therefore, let the brethren begin to roll in like clouds, and we will sell you lots, if you are able to pay, for them, and of it not you shall have them, without money and without price. The greater blessing is unto those who come in times of adversity. For many will come to us in times of prosperity, that will stand at the corners of the streets, saying with long pharisaical faces to those who come after them, don't go near Brother Joseph, don't go near the authorities of the church, for they will pick your pockets, they will rob you of all your money. Thus will they breed in our midst a spirit of dissatisfaction and distrust that will end in persecution and distress. Notice how he's saying that the rich will say that Joseph will pick their pockets to the poor, which he says are to freely help and be given. Now from this hour, bring everything you can bring and build a temple unto the Lord, a house into the mighty God of Jacob, because he usurped the birthright blessing from Esau, and so it's now coming through his lineage, not Esau's lineage. Even though Esau named his firstborn which is sun god, not which is light. That's a different spelling. We will build upon the top of this temple, which is like a mountain, so the capstone, a great observatory, a great and high watchtower, and in the top thereof we will suspend a tremendous bell, that when it is rung shall rouse the inhabitants of Fort Madison, wake up the people of Warsaw, which were the ones who were paid by Brigham and Heber to assassinate Joseph Smith, but they failed, and so John Taylor had tried to take out Hiram, and then Willard Richards shot Joseph in the back. And sound in the ears of men, Carthage. Then comes the ancient records, yea, all of them, dig them up, yes, bring them forth speedily. Apparently it's quite a maze in those caves, and who knows if there's booby traps. They'd sort of like to do that kind of thing, sort of trick and deceive people, not really finding what they had put there, to try to discourage people from even trying. Then shall the poor be fed by the curious, who shall come from all parts of the world to see this wonderful temple. Yea, I prophesy that pleasure parties, orgies, shall come from England to see the mammoth, and like the Queen of Sheba shall say the half never was told them. Schoolhouses shall be built here, high schools shall be established, and the great men of the earth shall send their sons here to board. It's not high school, it's higher education, so like colleges like Dartmouth that Hiram went to. That's what he's referring to. Saints shall clink in their pockets the money of these proud men received from such as come and dwell with us. Now, brethren, I obligate myself to build as great a temple as ever Solomon did, if the church will back me up. Moreover, it shall not impoverish any man, but enrich thousands. Well, that's different philosophy. That's unheard of in this church. And I prophesy that the time shall be when these saints shall ride proudly over the mountains of Missouri, and no Gentile dog nor Missouri dog shall dare lift a tongue against them, but will lick up the dust from beneath their feet. And I pray the Father that many here may realize this and see it with their eyes, and if it should be, stretching his hand towards the place, and in a melancholy tone that made all hearts tremble, with God, that I might live to behold that temple completed and finished from the foundation to the top stone. Capstone? Why does the church not talk about capstones? They talk about the cornerstone, which the builders rejected, will become the cornerstone. Anyway. It's just, oh my God! That's almost as precious as Nelson coming out and saying, well, the church is the cornerstone, and then we're going to build Jesus on top of the cornerstone, of which he's in the name of the church as the cornerstone. And he's not ascended to heaven, he's merely resurrected. Because we don't dare say that he's ascended, because Isaiah doesn't. Alrighty, so Revelation, huh? Revelation. And this will be a 2-hour video, it looks like. So Revelation 12, that's the first year of the latter days. It gives us the star dates. Confirms it over and over. The tail from the stars falling from the tail of the dragon, that's when Monson dies. January 2nd, 2018. But in 19, verse 7, let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage sup of the Lamb is come, and his wife. You mean not only is there a Mormon male to be born of mortality with mortal parents to come out of the great and abominable church to restore the church, there's going to be a Mormon woman? Likewise, mortal woman, mortal parents, comes out of the great and abominable church, and the two will meet. Is there a righteous Mormon woman? And if there's any listening, they're gone now. I'm offended. Are you? So why do you believe Jesus is your Christ? Have made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen. Garments? Magic underwear? Clean and white. For the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. It's not the robes. They're going to be in their underwear. And he saith unto me, Right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. Joseph Smith puts in, obviously, that it's at the temple in chapter or section 58. And he saith unto me, These are the true sayings of God. So you see lamb, 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 lamb. And then you see the sign in the heavens that we're about to be given. And the death of the lamb, as other passages refer to, has to do with the sign in the heavens. Because lamb is also ram, referring to small cattle, from the original Greek word being used here. And so it's kind of confusing when it's a ram with Abraham sacrificing Isaac, but then it's a lamb with this last days sign. So, yeah. Notice the Book of Mormon also talks about the lamb. Okay, I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said, see that do not follow his testimony of Jesus, worship God, blah, blah, blah. Verse 11, here we go, the white horse. And I saw heaven opened. So certainly that can't be a sign in the heaven with a star date. How hard is this to understand? And behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. So there's the latter-day war from the white horse prophecy. But they sort of twisted it, didn't they? His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but himself, because he's Amun-El, the Egyptian god Amun, the sun at noonday, the secret name. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. And interestingly, Hathor was able to trick him into revealing his name, just like Lilith tricked Samson, the sun king, out of giving away his secret, and thus she betrayed him. And in Hathor's story, she then got drunk and then slaughtered mankind, dipped in blood, as a cow rather than a horse, but same origin concept. And then you have Samson, where she's a woman, and she betrays him to the guys who are trying to guess his riddle about the lion house and the beehive house from his first marriage in the temple of the Great and Abominable Church, because he married a Philistine. The Great and Abominable Church. Marriage supper of the Lamb. The bride and the bridegroom out of the Great and Abominable Church to restore it. Clothed in fine linen. It's called the Word of God. The armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen. All are wearing the magic underwear. So it's not quite Godiva, but close. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword. He's one of those sword swallowers, huh? That with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with an iron rod. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness of the wrath of Almighty God, and on his vestiture shall be King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And here we go. Here's the sign date. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, which is on the back of the white horse in the heavens. It's a total solar eclipse. 8 April 2024. And he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God. See, he first needs to be coronated. And until that day happens, we don't have a temple for the wedding feast. Although the one guy says it can be done quickly. But he claims it's Missouri, not Southern Illinois. But that would require an exodus from Utah. I'm hopeful, but Mormons are not making it look very good. Come gather yourselves to the great supper of the great God, that you may eat the flesh of kings and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of my... It's not cannibalism. Don't think it's cannibalism. And the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both bond, free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beast. This is Revelation 13. You know, the one that has his followers wear a baseball cap with the sign of the beast on it. And wants people to go to the grocery stores with an ID. Who's all over the internet and TV streaming his blasphemies. And who will have an idol image for CPAC made of gold, or at least flakes of appearing gold. And the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse. Really? They're going to try to murder him? And this is the interesting part, because he's not the president right now, although he claims he still is. He sort of lost an election that the Book of Mormon said he was going to lose. But this is where Bill Maher gets it wrong. And we've got second confirmation that Bill Maher is wrong. He's not going to run in 2024. He'll already become president before then. Because the latest is that when the MAGA sweep Congress, or at least the House, that's all they need to worry about, is sweeping the House. They've already got the Senate, and they'll get more in the Senate. That'll be an obvious gimme. They already have revealed that they are going to put Trump in as the Speaker of the House. Not as a congressman, just as the Speaker of the House. And apparently the news is saying they can do that as long as he's part of the majority party of the House. And so this is different than what I was saying was going to happen, that they were going to sweep all of Congress in the 2022 election, and then immediately in January of 2023 hold impeachment hearings, because Marjorie Taylor Greene already wrote them up. They'll then do impeachment proceedings that Biden and Harris are the illegitimate presidency, and remove them from office and then convict them. The first time ever a president and vice president removed from office. Who then takes over as president? The Speaker of the House. See what they're planning? And so in that case, if my original thinking was that they don't need to have Trump called as Speaker of the House, but why not? Since he can then officiate over the impeachment. He would love that. But with the conviction in the Senate, the 2020 presidency is thus overturned. Legally, sort of. And Trump would then go back to being president again, officially. And so you can see what they're plotting and planning. And once he takes office, there will never be an election ever again. He will stay as president for as long as he wants. And there's already talk that he'll just pass it on to Ivanka. Not Junior. And so yes, we've got dark days coming before 8 April 2024. So if nothing happens on the 17th, we're not done yet. Make war, him that sat on the horse. And so this would be 23, 24 when this happens, because something has to happen now for an exodus to occur to try to build the temple and in preparation for 2024. So 2024 is when this is going to happen against the beast. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into hell. And that goes with Deuteronomy and DNC 85 and Revelation here. So there you go. And the remnant were slain with the sword, him that sat on the horse, and the sword proceeded out of his mouth, and the fowls were filled with their flesh. So the birds eat them. Alrighty, 2 hours for this. Dear God. 3 o'clock. Dear God. I'm never going to shower and shave today. Yes, it's just too late now. Just to see if I can wait till tomorrow, as I'm all itchy, scratchy now.